Today, you'll be learning about the counterclaim paragraph. This paragraph comes directly after the body paragraphs and is essentially your third body paragraph. In argument, we must address the opposing side and refute or argue against what the opposing side would argue. A counterclaim is like an architect designing a home. The architect knows he is up against other architects for the same job, so he must plan his building in a way that appeals to his buyer, but also provides the buyers for why he is more cut out for the job. He might know that one architect will give the family a fireplace, but she might not be able to finish the basement because of the expense of a fireplace. He might know the other architect won't be able to work in a guest bedroom with the budget, so he will try everything in his power to work in a guest bedroom. Architects have to prove to their buyers that they are able to provide everything the buyer needs while showing their strengths over the other architects. This is what a counterclaim paragraph will do. Show the strengths of your argument over the strengths of other arguments. When setting up a counterclaim, you must get in the mind of the opposing side and somewhat write for them. Your first sentence won't be a topic sentence, rather your opponent's claim or counterclaim. For example, if I was arguing the societal issues had a greater impact, my opponent would argue that Fitzgerald's life had a greater impact. Therefore, the first sentence of my counterclaim paragraph would look like this. Others may argue that Fitzgerald's life played a greater role in his writing of The Great Gatsby because of his marriage to Zelda and their lavish lifestyle choices. This still gives the two reasons or assertions for my opponent while addressing what their opinion is. After the counterclaim, the paragraph is set up somewhat like your own body paragraphs with one simple change. You will give what your opponent might say as a concrete assertion. You will give context or evidence that will support this assertion. Then you would give evidence they would use. This format would look like this. In Fitzgerald's life, Zelda played an influential role in who he was and the money he made, similar to the role Daisy played in Gatsby's life. That first sentence is my first concrete assertion of my opponent. Let's continue. When Gatsby gave Daisy a tour of his extravagant home for the first time, Nick noticed Gatsby reevaluated everything in his house according to the measure of response it drew from Daisy's well-loved eyes. This includes both the context of the quotation as well as the quotation from The Great Gatsby. Instead of leading into what would be your opponent's explanation of their quotations, you will refute their argument. What this means is you will have to go against what they would argue and say how they are wrong or you are more right. A refutation would look like this. While this explains how Fitzgerald measured his own success by the beauty and riches of his wife Zelda, the social class system of new money versus old money played a greater role. Gatsby spent money to win Daisy over, and he felt as if having her in his house was winning the ultimate prize. However, later in the novel, Daisy decides to stay with her husband Tom because of the money he has and the social status he has as a man in the upper class with old money. This leaves Gatsby worthless, since Daisy provided him the only worth he desired. If Gatsby would have been in a different social class, the relationship between him and Daisy would have differed because they would have both been of the same old money standards. Like an explanation of our own points, this gives more than one sentence to really prove why my opponent would be wrong and why I am right. After you have refuted one of their assertions, you would then move to the second assertion, following the same steps as the first assertion. Let's review my entire counterclaim of the first assertion. The first sentence is my opponent's claim. It then leads into the first assertion, followed by their embedded quotation. Instead of giving their explanation, I refute the argument and claim how the societal issue of social classes plays a stronger role than Zelda. If you are struggling with conceptualizing the counterclaim paragraph, pause the video here to reread the entire paragraph as a whole and compare it to your own checklist. Let's recap what is included in a counterclaim paragraph. You may want to pause the video in order to double-check what your checklist looks like. However, you don't have to rewrite your entire checklist. Just be sure you have the essential information to effectively write a counterclaim paragraph tomorrow.